All right, today we're going to dive into a new kind of AI, and this one's a little different. It's designed not just to be smart, but to actually be a supportive companion for your well-being. We're talking about FOLQ, an AI built with something that's, absolutely crucial, boundaries.
You know that feeling, right? When your thoughts are just a tangled mess, and you have this overwhelming need to just talk it out loud just to get some clarity?
Yeah.
That's a totally fundamental human need.
But here's the thing. That simple need, it runs straight into what you could call the modern well-being dilemma. Turns out, finding the right support, especially at the exact moment you need it, well, it's way harder than it should be in today's world.
So let's break down what's actually going on here. There are really three big problems. First off, support is all over the place. You've got apps here, therapists over there, but what about that 2 a.m. moment when you really need to talk? It's just not there. Second, you've got these text-based bots, right? They completely miss the emotional nuance. They can't hear the sigh in your voice or the stress in your tone. And finally, and this is a big one, some of the AI companions out there right now can actually create a pretty unhealthy dependency because they start to blur that line between being a helpful tool and being a person.
So with those problems, what are people actually turning to right now? Let's take a look at the current landscape of options. And spoiler, they're not perfect. This is probably going to feel pretty familiar to a lot of you.
Yeah, this really lays it all out. It shows this massive gap in the middle. On one side, you have apps and bots. They're always on, sure, but they can feel emotionally flat, kind of static. And then on the other side, you have human therapy, which is amazing, incredibly valuable. But let's be real, it can be super expensive, hard to schedule, and for a lot of people, just plain inaccessible. There's this huge, underserved space right in the middle.
And that gap, well, that is exactly where FOLQ is designed to live. So let's get into how they're trying to fix this problem with a totally new approach to well-being support.
This quote, this is basically their entire philosophy in one sentence. It's a really powerful way to position themselves. Think about it. More human than an app. Why? Because it actually listens to the sound of your voice, not just the words you type. And safer than a therapist? Now that's interesting, because it's not even trying to be one. It has these clear, hard-coded boundaries. It's built from the ground up to fit perfectly into that middle ground we were just talking about.
Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? First, it all starts with voice-first check-ins. You just talk to it. Then it uses something called prosody-aware emotional sensing, which I know sounds super technical, but it's really just a fancy way of saying it listens to how you're talking, your tone, your pace, the stress in your voice. From there, it engages you in what they call reflective dialogue to help you kind of unpack your own thoughts, and then it can provide some goal-oriented support for things like, say, improving your sleep or just finding some mental clarity.
Okay, now this is where things get really, really interesting. I mean, look, anyone can throw together a chatbot these days, but FOLQ is absolutely obsessed with safety, and that is their secret sauce, designing a conversation that is genuinely responsible.
And right at the heart of this safety-first model is a feature they call relational friction mode. Honestly, this is brilliant. Here's the idea. To stop you from getting too emotionally attached or over-reliant on it, the AI will intentionally and subtly do things that remind you it's a tool, it's not a person. It's a really deliberate design choice that actively maintains those healthy boundaries.
And it's not just about that one feature. They have a whole bunch of other safety layers built in. For example, they use a modified pronoun protocol to avoid making it seem too human, to reduce that anthropomorphism. It's always upfront about being an AI, it has strict limits on how long you can talk in one session, and it's got this embedded logic to escalate a situation if it thinks a user might be in serious distress. This is safety by design through and through. So you might be wondering, okay, this sounds cool, but what's stopping a competitor from just copying it? Well, FOLQ's advantage here is really layered. It's all built on the founder's own PhD research in conversational AI. They use a proprietary engine and a unique design model they called the Told framework to guide all the interactions. And this is huge. They are already thinking ahead and aligning with future regulations like the EU AI Act. You put all that together, and it creates a really strong defensible position in the market.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about how this all becomes a real business. Because having a great product is one thing, right? But turning into a sustainable venture, that's a whole other ballgame. This is what you could call the business of listening. So who is this actually for? They're really targeting two main groups. First up, there's individuals. Think adults dealing with stress or anxiety, knowledge workers, founders, basically anyone who just needs to talk it through. And then the second group is enterprises. They're positioning FOLQ as a smart, modern alternative to those traditional employee assistance programs, or EAPs. It's for employers who want to provide real, effective support for their teams.
How they measure success is also pretty telling. It's not just about vanity metrics like how many people are using it. They have just balanced approach. They look at product metrics like active sessions and retention, sure, but they weigh that against crucial safety metrics like how often an escalation is triggered. And then, of course, they look at the commercial side of things. It's a really holistic view of what a healthy platform looks like.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. What does this all mean for the future of AI and well-being? It's really about creating a new, responsible middle ground in a world that's quickly filling up with all sorts of AI companions.
And if there's one key takeaway, it's this. FOLQ isn't just another meditation app, and it is definitely not trying to replace a human therapist. It's carving out its own unique and, maybe more importantly, responsible space, right in between the two.
And ultimately, it really all comes down to this one clear statement. FOLQ AI is a voice-first well-being companion that sits between apps and therapists, designed for real conversation, built with boundaries, and engineered for trust. That's a clear, concise, and really powerful vision.
So, all of this leaves us with a really big, important question for the future. FOLQ as a company is taking on that responsibility by building boundaries directly into their product. But as these AI technologies become more and more a part of our daily lives, who is ultimately responsible for drawing the line? Is it the company? Is it us, the users? Or is it up to the regulators? It's something we're all going to have to think about.